It's 3 a.m. and your brain won't stop. Car repairs, job loss, a $4,000 vet bill. Financial anxiety keeps millions of people awake every night. But there's one specific dollar amount that can make almost all of it stop. Most people think financial peace needs 6 figures, but research says otherwise. There's one specific number, much smaller than you think, where your brain's entire relationship with money changes, psychologically, neurologically. That number is $10,000. That hits right at 20 seconds. It keeps the myth-busting tension and delivers the reveal cleanly. Want me to adjust the pacing or merge this with a previous script into one flowing piece?
I'm Jude. I obsess over money, psychology, and why some people glide through financial problems while others stay stuck. If you want the real math and psychology behind building wealth, not the Instagram version, subscribe and hit that thumbs up. Let's get into it.
Before we talk about what $10,000 does, let's talk about life without it. You're doing math in the grocery store, crafting excuses to skip Friday dinner because you can't afford $30. If you've been there, you know exactly what I mean. Paycheck to paycheck means every expense is a crisis. A $300 car repair doesn't just hurt, it derails your whole month. And when your brain is locked in survival mode, there's zero room to think about investing, growth, or opportunity. You're just trying to make it.
Something psychological shifts when you hit $10,000, and it has nothing to do with spending more. Your relationship with risk completely changes. New job, new city, big decision. When you have that cushion, things that once felt financially dangerous suddenly feel totally manageable.
Here's the neuroscience nobody talks about. Financial stress floods your brain with cortisol, and that literally impairs your decision-making. Being broke actually makes you worse at the decisions that would fix it. Vanguard found $2,000 in savings boosted financial well-being by 21%. Imagine what $10,000 does. Check engine light with no savings? Pure panic. Days of stress, sleepless nights, borrowing money. Check engine light with $10,000? Just annoying. You fix it and move on. That shift from panic to mild annoyance multiplied across every financial challenge? It changes everything. An emergency fund isn't really about emergencies. The real power is what it does to your brain when nothing's wrong. Most people with $10,000 saved don't spend it on crises. They spend it on opportunities, education, career risks, business ideas. It buys you the bandwidth to think bigger. Having $10,000 saved changes how you carry yourself. You negotiate differently. You walk into interviews without desperation. You're willing to walk away from bad deals. That confidence is a secret weapon nobody else can see, but everyone in the room can feel it. The hardest part of saving $10,000 isn't the money, it's the identity shift. People who get there don't treat saving as a sacrifice. They start seeing themselves as someone who saves. And once that identity clicks, the decisions get easier automatically. Your first $1,000 is brutal. Your second is easier. By your fifth, it's almost automatic. And by the time you're near 10,000, you're already thinking about 20,000. Saving stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like something you just do. What does $10,000 actually cover? Most car repairs, most medical surprises, and if you lose your job, 3 to 6 months of breathing room to find the right opportunity instead of desperately taking the first one. It turns catastrophes into inconveniences. $10,000 doesn't just protect you, it creates options that didn't exist before. A business opportunity, a certification that pays back $15,000 a year. The difference between having options and having none is one of the most underrated advantages in finance. $10,000 is the entry point.
Living paycheck to paycheck means dozens of tiny survival calculations every single day. Name brand or generic, pack lunch or spend $12. That mental math is exhausting. $10,000 saved eliminates 90% of it, and that freed up mental energy, you redirect it towards decisions that actually matter. I want to share something that perfectly illustrates this shift. Someone told me that the first time they walked into a grocery store after hitting $10,000 in savings, they almost cried. Not because they went crazy and bought caviar, but because for the first time in years, they could just walk through the store and think about what they wanted to eat, not what they could afford, not whether this item was going to mess up the budget for the week. They just shopped like a normal person. That sounds simple, but if you've spent years doing survival math every time you need to buy food, that feeling of being free from that mental calculation, it's genuinely emotional. That's what $10,000 actually buys you. This isn't metaphorical, it's literally true. Studies show that people with emergency funds report significantly better sleep quality than those without savings. Financial stress is one of the leading causes of insomnia in America. Think about what better sleep actually means for your life. Better decision making, better performance at work, better relationships, better physical health, less irritability, more patience, more creativity. The downstream effects of sleeping well are enormous, and most people don't connect their sleepless nights to their bank account balance. When you remove that financial anxiety from your mental load, your body can actually rest. And a rested brain performs dramatically better in every area of life. Money stress is cited as one of the primary causes of divorce and relationship conflict in the United States. When you're constantly worried about financial survival, you have almost no emotional bandwidth left for the people around you. You're irritable, you're anxious, you snap at people you love because the pressure is constantly building underneath the surface. When you build your $10,000 foundation, you free up emotional energy. You become more present in your relationships, more patient, more able to actually enjoy the people in your life instead of being mentally consumed by financial calculations. Financial security doesn't just change your bank account, it changes who you are to the people around you. Here's something that might completely rearrange how you think about wealth. The person with $10,000 saved is often closer to financial independence than someone with zero savings, even if that second person earns twice as much money. You probably know someone who makes a six-figure salary but is somehow always broke. They drive a $60,000 truck, live in a luxury apartment, eat out every night, and have basically zero savings. The difference isn't income, it's mindset. And reaching $10,000 in savings is a masterclass in developing the right financial mindset. You learn to distinguish wants from needs. You develop the patience to delay gratification, which is honestly the single most valuable financial skill a human being can develop.
Okay, let's get practical. Because $10,000 sounds like a mountain if you're currently struggling to save $100 a month. The average American spends over $3,000 per year on coffee, dining out, and convenience purchases combined. That's not counting major expenses, just the small daily stuff. If you could redirect just 1/3 of that towards savings, $1,000 per year, you'd have $10,000 in under 10 years. If you redirect half, $1,500 a year, you're there in less than 7 years. I'm not asking you to stop enjoying your life. I'm asking you to be intentional with a portion of money that most people spend without even thinking about it. And if you combine intentional spending with even a small income increase, the timeline shrinks dramatically. Think about pushing a heavy boulder up a hill. Getting it started is the single hardest part. You're straining, sweating, barely moving, questioning whether it's even possible. But once you build enough momentum and push past the crest, something magical happens. The boulder starts rolling on its own. Gravity starts working for you instead of against you.
$10,000 is that crest. Everything before it is pushing uphill. Everything after it accelerates. Because once you have $10,000 saved, you have two things working simultaneously: your monthly contributions and the money you've already saved generating its own returns. The math starts compounding, the habits are locked in, the identity is established, and the next $10,000 comes faster, not because you work harder, but because momentum is now on your side.
Here's where the $10,000 milestone becomes genuinely exciting from an investment perspective. At $10,000 invested in a basic index fund earning a historical average of 8% annually, you're generating $800 per year without working, without doing anything, just from having that money in the market. $800 a year sounds small, but you didn't earn that. Your money earned that. And that $800 gets added to your $10,000, so next year you're earning 8% on $10,800. In 10 years, without adding a single additional dollar, that $10,000 becomes over $21,000. This is why the first $10,000 is so disproportionately important. It's the seed. Everything that grows after it comes from having planted it in the first place.
Perhaps the most significant change that happens when you save your first $10,000 is how you start thinking about money itself. Before savings, money feels finite and scarce. Every dollar that leaves your account is gone forever. But when you have $10,000 working as your financial foundation, you start understanding that money can create more money, that it's a tool, not just a resource you consume. This is the mental shift where people start getting genuinely interested in investing, in building income streams, in passive income. When you're not worried about grocery money, you can think about stock market accounts. When you're not stressed about rent, you can research index funds. The mental bandwidth that financial security creates is the real gift.
Now, let me address something critical, because this is where most people mess up. They hit $10,000, feel that psychological shift, feel the confidence and freedom, and then immediately reward themselves by blowing it on something stupid. A new car because they've been so disciplined, an expensive vacation because they've earned it, a down payment on a house they can't really afford. Don't do this, please. That $10,000 is not a reward for good behavior. It is the foundation of your entire financial future. It is the seed that grows into something life-changing if you let it compound instead of cashing it in the moment it matures. The discipline that got you to $10,000 is more valuable than the $10,000 itself. There's a difference between looking wealthy and building wealth that most people never figure out. The person driving the $75,000 truck while complaining about grocery prices isn't winning, they're performing. They've traded actual financial security for the appearance of success. Real wealth is quiet. It's the person driving a 4-year-old reliable car who has $40,000 in an index fund and sleeps 8 hours a night. It's the person who could lose their job tomorrow and be completely fine for 6 months. The $10,000 milestone is your entry point into that world, not the flashy version, the real version. Here's something nobody talks about: the social dimensions of financial stress. When you're constantly anxious about money, it affects your social life in ways you might not even recognize. You avoid situations where money might come up. You feel a low-level embarrassment that keeps you withdrawn. You might develop resentment toward friends who seem more financially stable. Financial security removes that invisible weight. You stop making excuses to avoid dinner. You stop feeling like the odd one out when money comes up. You engage with people from a place of confidence instead of anxiety. And that changes the quality of your relationships in ways that go way beyond money.
Here's the beautiful reality about reaching your first $10,000. The moment you get there, you stop thinking about $10,000 as the goal. You start thinking about $20,000, and then $50,000, and then $100,000. Not because you became greedy, but because you've proven something to yourself that changes everything. You've proven that you can do it. You've proven that you have the discipline, the mindset, the patience. And once you know that about yourself, once you've lived it, not just heard about it, the next milestone feels inevitable instead of impossible. The compound effect of your financial habits matches the compound effect of your money. Both accelerate over time. Okay, let's make this practical. Here's exactly what you do. Step 1. Open a high-yield savings account, not your regular bank account. High-yield savings accounts currently pay somewhere between 4 and 5% interest. Your money grows while it sits there. Step 2. Set up an automatic transfer, even if it's $50 a week. Automate it so it happens before you have the chance to decide not to do it. $50 a week is $2,600 a year. Step 3. Identify one spending category where you're on autopilot. Subscriptions you forgot about. Dining out 3 nights a week. Find $100 to $200 per month that isn't adding real value and redirect it. Step 4. Every time you get a raise, a tax refund, a bonus, put at least 50% directly into savings before you adjust your lifestyle. You don't have to be perfect, you have to be consistent. I want to leave you with this. Saving your first $10,000 is not really about the money. I know that sounds contradictory after a 25-minute video about $10,000, but hear me out. The money matters. The protection matters. The opportunities it creates matter. But the most important thing that happens when you save $10,000 is who you become in the process. You become someone who can delay gratification when it matters, someone who thinks in years instead of weeks, someone who has proven to themselves that they can build something from nothing through consistent discipline. And that person, that version of you, is capable of things that the paycheck-to-paycheck version of you genuinely cannot access. The $10,000 is the evidence. The transformation is the point. Start today. Start small. Start imperfect, but start. If this video helped you see money differently, or if it finally put words to something you've been feeling for a long time, hit that like button and subscribe. Every week, I break down the real math and psychology behind money decisions that most people never figure out. Next video, we're going to talk about what happens when you hit $20,000 and why that milestone creates an entirely different set of changes that most people don't see coming. I'll see you there.